Hello everyone. I'm here today with a pretty short and spoiler-free review of the delicious book With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. I didn't know too much about this young adult book before I started, but I vaguely remembered hearing some good things about it and about the writer. So when I saw the audiobook was available from the library, I jumped right on it. I started listening to this one while I was cooking dinner, which turned out to be super appropriate and helped me immerse myself in it right away, because this book is about, well, a girl who cooks. Imani is a high school senior who has a knack for cooking, including a sort of intuitive sense of just how much spice to add and what new flavor combinations might go well. Right from the start, I enjoyed hearing her talk about watching the shows Chopped and Iron Chef, two shows that I've watched a fair number of times with my more cooking inclined siblings, even though I myself am hardly a master chef. So this cooking aspect really gives the book a certain enjoyable flavor, and I simply have no other way of putting it because throughout the book I really wanted to taste everything Imani was cooking, just as I do when I watch Chopped or Iron Chef. But Imani also has a lot of stuff going on aside from cooking. She's looking out for her grandmother and primary caretaker, or abuela, as she's affectionately called. She's applying to college and trying to get into one with a good culinary arts program with a keen eye on Drexel University in her hometown of Philadelphia. She's trying to stay in touch with her occasionally supportive but usually distant father, and I mean distant. He went back to his birthplace of Puerto Rico after Imani's mom died. She works at a part-time job at the local Burger John, which is in some ways painful for her as an aspiring chef. And then on top of it all, she's a mother, doing the best she can to make it home to spend time with her baby girl before it's off to school or work or whatever for the next day. This last part is really key because the fact that Imani is a teen mother manages to be central to the story, but without ever feeling like it's there simply to try to teach us a certain message or how to check off a certain box. In fact, I found a main message that I took from the story was how Imani struggles to defy stereotypes and expectations of what it means to be a teen mother, much in the same way that this book defies stereotypes of what a book about teen pregnancy should be about. Admittedly, it's not quite that because the entire book takes place a while after Imani's daughter Emma was born, which already gives it a little bit of a new flavor. Teen pregnancy isn't the only heavy topic alluded to in this novel by any means, but all the topics covered kind of just fit into the writing and the overall day-to-day life of the characters in a way such that it never felt to me like Acevedo was trying too hard to push certain topics. They just kind of naturally came up, the characters talked about them, or Imani just reflected herself for a few minutes, and then maybe they would come back to the topic later in the book, or maybe not. It just depended on where the story took us. Acevedo is a good writer. I'd even go as far as to say she's an excellent writer. Some readers might feel that the way she describes Imani's cooking as powerful and almost magical is a little bit over the top, but I actually really liked it. Although it never goes quite into the territory of, say, magical realism, I liked this almost supernatural way of describing Imani's ability to communicate emotions through food in a way that her family, friends, and customers just instantly get it when they taste her cooking. Acevedo is also clearly up for the challenge of writing teenage characters, as she describes the thought processes and challenges of teenagers in a way that feels realistic without becoming melodramatic or resorting to stereotypes. In Imani, she writes a character who is mature, maybe more so in many ways than other girls her age, but she is a mother after all, so she's got quite a bit of real responsibility, yet still lacks certain knowledge and life experience in the ways that we'd expect from a teenager. There are plenty of other interesting characters in the book too, and good ones, although none of them stood out to me quite as much as Imani and her abuela, which is probably as it should be. This isn't the most heavily plot-driven book, although there is a plot to it, and Imani does grow and go through some challenges throughout the novel. Some readers may find this light plot difficult, but I loved it. The book itself is presented in very short chapters, each with some catchy name, each lasting just about 6 or 7 minutes in the audiobook. This made it easy to start and stop at will and digest it in bite-sized pieces whenever I was in the mood for it, as I did pretty often. I'm not going to say much about the plot itself because I want to keep this a spoiler-free review, and like I said, the plot is there, but it isn't the part of this book that should make or break whether you read it. But on a high level, it revolves around Imani's struggles to figure out what she wants to do next with her life, or rather how she wants to do it, because Imani knows for sure that she wants to be a chef, but with her baby girl and abuela to take care of, she isn't exactly sure what's realistic for her as she moves forward. This isn't to say that she lacks confidence. which is another thing that's great about this book, since it's not kind of your stereotypical story of a shy girl who suddenly becomes more outgoing and confident. But she just isn't that sure whether her dreams are practically attainable with all the other things going on in the world in her life. This book managed to be beautiful and uplifting, tasty and amusing, and all this still in a fairly short to medium length. I never once felt myself hoping for it to wrap up soon in the way that I often do even for some of my favorite books, when I can tell they're starting to wind down. And I totally recommend this book for readers of all ages. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. What do you think of this book? Have you read anything else by Elizabeth Acevedo that you'd recommend? Let me know. Bye, and happy reading.